Hello everyone, it's a lovely end of summer morning in Sunderland. So I thought I'd come and do a 4-mile walk, and on my way to Lidl's I popped in here to do a little video about a story I wrote a couple of years ago. I'm going to put the story in the description in case I forget anything. But one of the grand entrances to any Sunderland cemetery. It's called Sunderland Cemetery, but it's often known as Grangetown Cemetery as well. So this opened in 1855, and in the mid-1850s there was 3 huge Victorian cemeteries built on the edge of Sunderland. This one at Grangetown, one over at Seaburn called Mere Knolls, and also one at Bishop Wearmouth Cemetery. They're all huge, and when they were built they were all in the middle of the countryside, probably because the land was cheaper, so they were quite a hike from down in the centre of Bishop Wearmouth, Monk Wearmouth and Sunderland for relatives to get up here and visit. But out of those 3 cemeteries, this is probably my least favourite, simply for aesthetic purposes. Bishop Wearmouth and Mere Knolls are very picturesque. This is, it's just as interesting in terms of all the memorials. Look at them all over there, there's absolutely tons, thousands. It's still in use today, and if you've ever driven past but never been in, you probably don't get a sense of how big it is, because it just stretches all the way up to Asda at Leachmere. Now, the purpose of this visit is to tell the story about a man who was born around 1854 in Ballina, County Mayo in Ireland, which at that point was part of Great Britain and Ireland. Now, when I was a kid, or I still do, one of my favourite films was Zulu, and also Zulu Dawn. So I was always interested in the Anglo-Zulu War. So over the last few years, I've come across many men who ended the days in Sunderland who, at earlier times in their life, had been all across the world fighting various conflicts, like the Boer War, the Crimean War, the Anglo-Zulu War, out in Afghanistan, out in Egypt, Africa, New Zealand, literally all over the globe. So we're just going to have a walk up here, and this gentleman was called Thomas Dillon. Now, like a lot of Irish men, because I think Irish at one point made up about 30% of the British Army back in the 1800s and 1700s. Decent money, get a pension, obviously there's the risk and so on, but you've got to see the world as well and escape poverty. So a lot of Irishmen signed up and travelled the world. Thomas joined the King's Dragoon Guards and was based in Aldershot. Now, in 1879, the British invaded Zululand. They wanted to make South Africa more stable, and were always worried about the threat from the Zulus to Natal province. So they concocted reasons for an invasion, mainly by I think it was Henry Bartle Frere, who gave some demands to the Zulus which they could never give in to. Now, one thing I've got to remember is, I've just realised it's in here somewhere, but it's a while since I've been to visit this particular headstone. I'll just have a look for it. Obviously, being born in Ireland, was a good chance he was Catholic, and I think this is the Catholic section, and it is in this particular section up here, but as to where, 2 seconds. I have to go on my Facebook and find the actual picture of it. It's laid flat, it is in here. Sorry, there's just a few people around just waiting for them to go. I'm scanning the horizon to see if I can see it. I think I can see it. It's close to the the path's just quite busy today. A lot of people use this as like a footpath through the cemetery, like a lot of them. I think I can see it. So Thomas went out to South Africa in the King's Dragoon Guards, whose basic job was escorting duties and patrolling the Zululand countryside. Just going to walk over here because I think, sod's law, somebody's actually visiting there. A grave right next to the one I want to be. Well, chances that I should have been up early this morning. It's my own fault. I'm normally up a lot earlier, but I had a lie in today. I'll just stand over here. Till the person's gone. But Thomas, if you might have seen the film Zulu, one of my favourite films growing up, there was also at the Rorke's Drift, there was also a few miles away another famous battle, which was one of the biggest defeats of the British Army in the whole 1800s, and that was at Isandlwana, where Lord Chelmsford left a third of his force at the camp. He went off into the Zulu countryside, but a Zulu army over 20,000 attacked and destroyed the camp. Like over 1,500, 1,600 British soldiers, colonial volunteers and native contingents were wiped out. Each one of them was ritually disemboweled by the Zulus. And on that day, another smaller army of 4,000 men had attacked Rorke's Drift. Now, a few months later, the battlefield was still left with all the British bodies and the remains on there. So Thomas visited Isandlwana. He was part of the King's Dragoon Guards, who actually his job was to bury the hundreds of remains that scattered the battlefield. Most of the skeletons were bleached by the sun and animals and so on. But on the 31st of May, Thomas was he was part of a detachment of the guards, and they were accompanying Louis Napoleon, the Prince Imperial of France, son of the deposed emperor. His family had come to Britain, taken in by Queen Victoria, and he begged to go and fight. So he went off into the natal countryside, escorted by Thomas and the guards. But on the 31st of May, the Prince Imperial and 6 other men went off into the Zulu countryside without all the Dragoon Guards and got ambushed by the Zulus, and the Prince Imperial was killed. He received 18 wounds, literally hacked to death, and it was a national news story and brought shock. It was like one of the second shock, one of the biggest shocks of the war, particularly a member of the French royal family being killed. This was just a few months after the disaster at Isandlwana and a couple of other defeats. But on that evening, Thomas was one of the party of the Dragoon Guards who went out to try and locate him, and they brought his body back to camp and give it an escort. I'm going to put some photos and images into this video, and there's a painting of that event when the Dragoon Guards were at camp waiting to escort it back to so on. So he'd been involved in 2 of the most famous incidents of the Anglo-Zulu War, well, the actual locations for Isandlwana. But after the war, he came back to England and he married a girl in Bradford called Catherine Shea. Sounds a bit Irish, doesn't it? That was 1884. Then he came to Sunderland and he lived at various houses at Emma Street, Norman Street, and also finally at the parade, number 40 the parade, which is still there down Hendon, but there is no particular houses there. It's just business units down the Hendon near the North Coast. And for 40 years he worked for the Sunderland Gas Company, and when he died he was laid to rest here. And this is his grave. And if you look around, a lot of the surnames are like Irish around here, so I think it is a Catholic section. But look, here we are. In loving memory of Thomas, beloved husband of Catherine Dillon, died August the 3rd, the 5th, 1934, aged 80 years. And also Catherine, beloved wife of the above, she died August the 17th, 1944, aged 80 years. So both lived to a decent age. It also mentions Martha, who died in 1959. I know they also lost 3 infants in infancy, but Thomas and Catherine, his wife, are buried in that particular section. I'll come out of here and go across to it's a bit quiet on the other side. So it just shows you how many more people are buried here who each had stories like that. I know there's at least 3 Crimean War veterans at Bishop Wearmouth Cemetery, and lots of others from the war and those various conflicts I mentioned earlier. It's a lovely little morning. And while we're here, I probably should show you this here, right? You know, I did the video the other week, a walk, I think it was called A Walk with Heroes at Bishop Wearmouth Cemetery. Now, Sunderland Cemetery here, it does have its own little section. There's loads of First World War and World War II headstones spread all over the cemetery, as you can see, as is at the top. It goes all the way round, if I scan round how far up we are, it's huge. But like, look here, this is like our Bamborough deckhand of the Royal, I think that's Royal Naval Reserve HM trawler Ruthin Castle, 21st of April 1970, just aged 18. In the midst of life we are in death. So these ones are all 1918. Look at these. Look at the JDS Texera SS Dungeness, and that's J. Soares. Another one of the SS Dungeness died 1918. I've got another Durham Light Infantry 19. And then if I stand back, it's a lovely little section up here. I think it's just as poignant as the one at Bishop Wearmouth I did the video on. Look at that. W.G. Magog, able seaman, Royal Navy, HMS Pembroke, 5th of September 1970. He was just 19-year-old. He gave his life for his king, country and loved ones at home. A bit of an epitaph in it. This is where there's a big section of them. Royal Air Force, Durham Light Infantry, Yorkshire Infantry. There's just tons of them here. I stand back. I think there's a couple of hundred in this entire cemetery, but this is the biggest concentration of the war graves. HMS Victory. Some of the epitaphs on here are absolutely beautiful. Families have to pay for the bits at the bottom. Like this. D.W. Mowat or Mowat, able seaman, Royal Navy, HMS Victory, just 18-year-old. Someday we'll understand. And look at this, W.T. Springer, Royal HMS Calliope, forever in our memory, sadly missed by all at home in Devon. There's quite a few with their personal epitaphs on this section here. I'll have to come back and do a video. This is E. Simpson, a sapper, Royal Engineers, 12th of December 1943. Aged 29-year-old, my dear husband Edward, killed in line of duty, ever remembered by his loving wife and family. Right, I'm just going to stand back and give you a view of these particular headstones. Just thought it's interesting to have the contrast between somebody who fought in 1879, decades before these two conflicts that I mentioned on here, but he died in peace at his home in Hendon. And we've got all these men, all heroes. So thank you very much for watching this particular video. As I said, I'm going to put in the description. I'm going to put the whole story about Thomas Dillon, In case I forgot, I probably forgot a couple of things out of that because it's a while since I actually wrote it. And if you did enjoy it, give it a like, and if you want to help grow the channel, please click on the subscribe, and I'll see you next time. So thanks for watching. Take care everyone. Bye.